1963, West Berlin. Napoleon Solo makes his way through Checkpoint Charlie from West to East Berlin, but notices he's being followed by a man we'll later discover is Illya Kuryakin. Solo goes to a chop shop garage where he meets Gaby Teller. Gaby's father is being forced to build an atom bomb for the Nazis. Solo's mission is to get her out of Berlin so they can find her Uncle Rudy and have him set up a meeting between her and her dad. As they make their way to the border, they're chased by Kuryakin, who turns out to be Solo's match. However, Solo has help. Waiting on the other side of the wall is a CIA truck that shoots a zip line up to the roof where Solo and Gaby end up. They're able to zip line over the Berlin Wall. Kuryakin is right behind them, but the truck backs up, making slack in the line and leaving Illya on the other side of the wall. There is a flashback to Kuryakin's briefing on Solo. Solo came to Europe during the Second World War, but stayed there and became a master art thief. He was eventually captured, but the CIA felt his skills were too good to be wasted in a prison, so they recruited him. In the present, CIA specialist Sanders meets with Solo at a park. In the restroom, he lays out the mission. While at the urinal, he says, "What I'm going to feed you might be bitter." It's innuendo, but nevertheless it's true. It's Illya Kuryakin. They fight and Kuryakin overcomes Solo. The KGB director Oleg comes in and tells Kuri, "Don't kill your partner on your first day." Solo asks what that means. Sanders translates. The CIA and KGB have struck a deal and are sending Solo and Kuri on a joint mission. They have to go to Rome, where Kuri will pose as Gaby's fiancé and Solo as an antiquities dealer. They believe a family business there that Gaby's Uncle Rudy works for is a front. The business has been in Alexander's family, but actually his wife Victoria is the brains behind the operation. Kuri and Solo get to know each other by revealing what they've discovered in each other's files. Solo triggers Kuri's rage issues, but the Russian manages to keep them in check. Meanwhile, a man named Waverly checks into the hotel in Rome right before Napoleon does. When Napoleon checks in, he notices a couple of guys who are clearly evil henchmen in the lobby. He has his bags brought to his room, but he takes off. On the streets of Rome, Kuri and Gaby bond a little. Solo shows up and tells Kuri that he's going to get mugged. To convince the bad guys that he's really a Russian architect, his cover, and not a super badass secret agent, his instructions are to be a pussy. Just get mugged and don't fight back. The mugging happens, and even though the thugs take Kuri's father's watch and Gaby's engagement ring, he manages to suppress his rage and submit. Solo pops up and they all go back to the hotel. Solo and the hotel desk clerk drink champagne and wind up in bed. Meanwhile, in the engaged couple room, Gaby chugs vodka and tries to get Kuri to dance with her. He won't, so she slaps him and they start wrestling. She passes out and he tucks her into bed. In the morning, Solo discovers about a dozen monitoring bugs in his room. He goes to Kuri's room and hands them to him, telling him that they're Russian-made. Kuri hands Solo about a dozen bugs too and says that they're American-made. Kuri meets Gaby in front of the hotel and gives her a brand new engagement ring. Solo heads to a party that Victoria is throwing. On the way in, he literally bumps into Waverly. We later find out that he picks Waverly's pocket and steals his invitation. Solo crashes the party and gets in a fight with security because he doesn't present an invitation. Victoria takes notice and Solo shows his invitation. He manages to lift her necklace and another woman's bracelet. Victoria asks how he got an invitation and who he is. He says his name is Devaney and that he specializes in filling the gaps in people's collections. He gives her the bracelet and the necklace. Gaby and Kuri are also at the party. Rudy disses Kuri by wondering if Gaby is slumming it like a racehorse with a workhorse. Kuri goes into a bathroom, but three young Italian aristocrats prevent from using the sink and tell him to use the ladies' washroom instead. He finally gives in to his anger and roughs them up. Alexander takes a keen liking to Gaby right away. Back at the hotel, Kuri has locked himself in the bathroom, which he has turned into a dark room, and is developing film. His camera was able to pick up on radiation on clothing at the party. Therefore, Gaby's father must be near and working on that atom bomb. Both Solo and Kuri say that they'll sleep on this new information, but in the next shot, they both break into the company's factory in the middle of the night. While Kuri is clearly the muscles between the two of them, Solo is more cunning and manages to break into a large bank-style safe. It's empty except for a centrifuge used for enhancing uranium. Solo thought that model of safe didn't have an alarm. Wrong. They escape by jumping out of a window and onto a boat. Solo falls off and swims to a dock where he finds a truck. Inside is the driver's dinner, which he casually eats while Kuryakin gets chased in circles by guards on a well-armed boat. They blow up Kuryakin's boat. Solo drives away but has second thoughts. He returns, crashes his truck onto the bad guy's boat, and then rescues a drowning Kuryakin. Victoria sees that the safe has been opened and calls Solo's hotel room. No answer. Rudy calls Gaby and asks to apologize to Kuryakin, but she says he's asleep. She then calls room 304 to tell the person on the other end that the meeting is confirmed. Victoria and her goons race to the hotel, but Solo and Kuryakin get there first. She and Solo get it on in his room, 807. The next morning, Kuryakin awkwardly turns on a tracker that's on Gaby's garter belt. Lots of sexual tension there. Gaby meets with her uncle and says that she knows her father is there and that he works for him. Rudy asks how she knows. We don't hear her answer just yet. Instead, we see Kuryakin, who's monitoring from afar, start running. Solo meets with Victoria. He pours himself a drink, but she's drugged it. He wakes up strapped to an electric torture chair. Rudy is an evil Nazi scientist who keeps a scrapbook of all the horrific stuff he's done. He has a blank page just waiting for Solo. Fortunately, there's a short in the electric chair. Kuryakin rescues Solo and straps Rudy into the chair. He tells them that the warhead is already built. Kuryakin and Solo step out of the room to debate what to do with Rudy. In the background, the short in the electric chair fixes itself, and Rudy gets electrocuted to the point of bursting in flames. Gaby is brought to an island where her dad is working. She slaps him and tells him to finish the job. Alexander and Victoria seem happy with this. Meanwhile, Waverly, who turns out to be a member of the British intelligence, informs Solo and Kuryakin about the situation. The Brits knew that it was only a matter of time before someone grabbed Gaby to try to get her dad to finish the atom bomb. They assumed it would be the Nazis. They were surprised that it was the Russians and the Americans. So Gaby has been working undercover with the British this whole time. She gains the trust of the bad guys by telling them that Kuryakin and Solo are secret agents. She knew that her new engagement ring would have a bug in it and that Kuryakin would be listening. Solo says that he thinks the British were working with her, but now that they've lost her, they need the American and the Russians' help. Kuryakin and Solo are both told by their respective superiors to get the warhead and the disc with Professor Teller's research. Also, to kill the other if necessary. On the island, Gaby and her dad try to switch lenses on the warhead, but Victoria notices. There is also a second warhead. She orders Gaby be put in a cell and tells her father to finish with the threat of her death. He does, but Victoria takes his disc and the backup he had hidden, then shoots him. Time for a super stylized and ultra-cool breaking-in montage as Solo and Kuryakin storm the island. During it, Solo finds Kuryakin's father's watch on a guard and grabs it. They find that Gaby and the warhead on the far side of the island in a jeep being driven by Alexander. Solo chases in a dune buggy while Kuryakin is on a motorcycle. The vehicles all crash. Alexander and Kuryakin fight and Kuryakin stabs him in the head with his knife. Turns out, though, this is the wrong bomb. Victoria disappeared with the right one. Solo remembers that Alexander's family used a fishing boat to smuggle gold for the Nazis. He also remembers the name of the boat from an old childhood photo of Alexander. They radio the boat and Solo taunts Victoria about the way her husband died. They stay on the radio long enough for the good guys to track the boat. Turns out that the two lenses that were in the bombs make it so that one bomb can take out the other. They launch the decoy bomb and blow up Victoria, the atom bomb, and the fishing boat. Gaby apologizes to Kuryakin and returns the engagement ring. He tells her to keep it so that he can know if she ever needs him. Kuryakin's boss tells him that the professor's disc wasn't destroyed, but that Solo has it. Kuryakin goes to his room. Solo pours drinks for the two of them. Kuryakin sees the disc and is filling with rage. Solo gives him the watch and reveals the disc. They both decide to destroy it. Waverly and Gaby show up. Waverly says that he's decided to keep the group together and that they have a new code name, U.N.C.L.E, United Network Command for Law and Enforcement. Over the end credits, we see everyone's dossiers. In one little detail, Gaby is currently learning to speak Russian.